Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sewing in Slippers with Sue. I am so pleased to be back. We've had such a busy couple of weeks, but I am thrilled to be back on my schedule of Tuesday mornings at 11, Sewing in Slippers with Sue. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about doing some brain training. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that topic was I'm hearing a lot of negative things coming from my students where they're feeling overwhelmed with so many different ideas in their mind, so many different things that they want to accomplish. And so I thought that we would take a little bit of time today to talk about overwhelm and to have some strategies to reduce the overwhelm so that you can get to work and get some projects done. And not only get to work, but have some fun of creating something beautiful. So I'm Sue Pelland. I love to create beautiful applique quilts. And you see some of those blocks and those quilts around me. I just love to be creative. That's what makes me happiest in my life. I love creating beautiful quilts out of fabric. And it's my passion in life to share that love of applique with all of you. So come on and join me for Sewing in Slippers with Sue today. I'm not going to get much sewing done today because I really want to focus on prioritizing, organizing, methodizing, and realizing a finished project in the end. So I want to talk to you about all those words, what they mean to me, how I get over the overwhelm and get ready to jump back into my projects. So let's see, we have Cynthia here this morning. We have Ellie. Good morning. Oh, you've missed me. Thank you so much. Boy, oh boy, do I need this class. Let me know who's saying these comments. Go ahead and put your name after your comment. If you said, boy, oh boy, I need this class, I'm not sure who that was. Sue, I've missed you. I'm not sure who that was. And good morning from another Facebook user. It could be all the same person, but all I see is Facebook user. But Cynthia Brown, Ellie, Becky, I see all of your names out there. So you're all good. Oh, it's Margaret Smith. Welcome, Margaret. Okay, Bev Henyon. Oh, fantastic. Good. Okay. Yes, I know that a lot of my students get caught up in the overwhelm, and you are not alone. That is one of my biggest faults, is that I get caught up in the overwhelm as well. I have so many priorities and so many projects and so many things I want to do that I sometimes don't know where to start. And what happens is when you don't know where to start and you're overwhelmed, you do nothing at all, right? Is anybody out there with me? Who does nothing at all when they can't figure out where to get started? I know that's me, so I want to tackle that problem today and turn it into not a problem, but an opportunity. Oh, Anita, welcome. Bev, welcome. Pam Adams, excellent. Glad you're here. Okay, super. So about a month ago, it wasn't even that long. It was just about 2 weeks ago, I lost my puppy dog. And I was a little bit devastated. That same day, my mom came into town and she was here for 2.5 weeks. And then a week later, my brother came into town. They both left this morning. My mom and my brother left this morning. And I made it a priority to spend time with my family during these 2.5 weeks because, first of all, my son lost his beautiful dog. And he was my best friend too. So that was really, really hard for my son and myself. So I wanted to spend extra quality time with my son during this time. And then my mom came in that same night. When Gilligan died, she came in the same night. So it was a little bit overwhelming. So what did I do? I put everything aside. I put all of my projects aside. I really didn't get a whole lot accomplished while she was here because I had to put my priorities in the right place. So that's my first word for you today is prioritize. What is it in your life that you want to prioritize? For me, it's my family. Absolutely. My first priority is my family. And so, number one priority on my list, I always think about my family first. It's right up there, neck and neck with my health, right? I prioritize my exercise. I prioritize eating right, or I try to, because I know that these two things, eating right and exercise, are what are going to give me the energy to do all the other things in my life. If I don't prioritize my exercise and my eating properly, then everything else tends to kind of fall apart because I don't have the energy. I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel good in my body. I get those aches and pains. So when I prioritize, it's always neck and neck for that first place position, my health and my family. So what happens is my business, and my business is also my hobby, but they are at different levels as well. My business always comes before my quilting hobby, the things that I want to get done. So I always need to prioritize the things that I need to get done. Now, if you're in this quilting world because you love quilting, hopefully there's not a lot of things you need to get done versus what you want to do. However, there might be a deadline that you need to meet. Maybe you have a quilt going into a quilt show, or you have a new baby coming, or a wedding, or some other anniversary gift, some other priority that helps you to prioritize your projects. So first of all, you've got to look at your priorities in your life and make sure that the important people in your life come first. But then we don't want to forget about that most important person, and that's you. When you don't prioritize your own needs and your own desires, sometimes we can feel a little bit resentful that you didn't have any time to yourself because you put all of your energy into your family, into the health concerns that you have, and having to take time to go to doctors and set up appointments and all of those things. So sometimes we put our own priorities aside, our own time for ourselves aside, and then that's not a good feeling either, is it? So even though we want to prioritize our family and prioritize our health, right up the next thing in line is prioritizing yourself. What do you do for you, for your health, for your fitness, for your what you're consuming, your meals, etc., and for those leisure activities that you love? It's really important not to forget about that creative spirit, that creative time, because that's what that's what drives me and gets me excited about waking up in the morning, right? I want to be creative. I want to share that. I want to make beautiful things. Those are the things that get me up in the morning and get me excited about my day. And if I go an entire day and I have not prioritized that creative side, then I get to feeling a little bit resentful, right? I didn't have any time to myself today, and I just don't feel great about that. So prioritize is a huge word in my, that's something that I have to keep fresh on my mind all the time. I always have to keep my priorities in the right order, but I don't neglect myself in those priorities. Okay. So once you prioritize that creative time that you need to have to feel good about yourself, to feel good about getting up in the morning, We absolutely need to organize. So let me tell you this little story. I had my mother in this week. I had my brother in this week. And of course, they all stay at my house. And then we jump out and we go visiting all the other people in our life, the cousins, the nieces and nephews, my sisters. We're all over the place, bouncing back and forth in order to see everyone. So here we are, we're prioritizing family and we're not prioritizing our own sanity. Sometimes we're just jumping from one thing to the other. So what I did this time with my mom is we only planned something every other day. We made it a priority to give her some rest time. And by doing that, I was able to sneak in a little bit of my priorities with my work, which is quilting. My work is quilting. So my hobby and my work go hand in hand together. So by organizing our days so that it was every other day going to visit for 2.5 weeks, we had, my goodness, probably 8 or 9 different visits, but we also had some downtime. So we were prioritizing our own sanity and our own health, right up there with seeing all the family members and prioritizing the family. That was a really important decision. And as my mom gets older, oh my goodness, even me, I was tired after 2 weeks of visiting people. So that priority of my health and my sanity really made sense. And it was absolutely necessary for my mom because she gets pretty tired these days when we're bopping all over the place. So after making sure that one of our priorities was some downtime, we really needed to think about, okay, what was important to work on during that time? Mom brought a project that was a charity quilt project, and she had her own sewing machine out in just outside this room. She had her own sewing machine so that when she needed some downtime, she could just sit and sew. She has her own ironing board out there, her own cutting station, and she was able to get quite a bit done on that charity quilt. So that was really nice to have that built-in downtime. Now, it wasn't a lot. We probably spent about 20 minutes or half an hour a day on our own projects. And while Mom was out there sewing, so was I. So how can you get anything done in half an hour a day? It's all about organizing. Okay, so first we have to prioritize some time for ourselves, and then we've got to get organized. I keep a separate bin for every one of my projects, even these blocks over here. I keep a separate bin for all of the fabrics that go into that quilt. And then when I'm working on a particular block, I will mark that a separate bin for that block. So here I'm working on my cornucopia block for September. I've got some color choices in there that are unique to this cornucopia block. The cornucopia, I think, is going to be brown. So I pulled out all of my brown fabrics and I started pulling out some threads that would go with those fabrics. And I just start putting everything in the bin here so that when I do have time to prioritize my own work, I can just grab that bin and I can start what I need to work on for that project. Now that is a work project, right? But that's how I satisfy my creativity. I work on a new work project every month so that it's really fun for me to be creative and design a pattern that we're going to work on for the month. This is our cornucopia block for our Almost in Baltimore blocks. And I have been playing with this over the course of these last 2.5 weeks while Mom was here. So I'd spend a little bit of time cutting and organizing the shapes. I'd spend a little bit of time in the morning over coffee, designing in EQ. And it really made me feel good that over that 2.5 week period, I've got that block almost all cut out and ready to go. Now, I didn't work on it for hours and hours at a time. It was just in tiny little 20 and 30-minute blocks, maybe once a day or even every other day. So that's my method for getting things done. Hey, Barbara Kahn, nice to see you. And Mary, welcome. So glad that you're here. So we are talking about organizing and prioritizing. And my next word for you, methodize. Have a method that allows you to get more done. So what's your method for getting your work done? Do you keep all your blocks up on the wall so it inspires you to work on that next block? I can see on those blocks that I still have some red stitching to do. So it is organizing my work for me by putting them up on the wall so I know what's next in that project. I know I need to do some stitching on the red grapes and on some of the other red elements in those blocks. So I have a method. And so first I'm going to prioritize my work. Then I'm going to organize my work so at a glance, I can see what needs to be done. And then I have a method for getting it done. Now, you all know my method for getting things done is to spend 23 minutes a day as a priority. I make it a priority to sew 23 minutes a day to get stuff done. Now, that doesn't mean I sit at my sewing machine and I necessarily sew. I might be designing, I might be writing a pattern, I might be cutting out shapes just to audition colors. So I'm not necessarily sewing for 23 minutes a day, but it's that method, it's that commitment to getting something done every single day that keeps moving me forward. Now, it has been at a snail's pace for the past 2.5 weeks, but I have still made some really, really good progress. And that's during a time that I was super busy and prioritizing my family. So what I'm trying to help you do is to get over the overwhelm by organizing your projects, by having them there at your fingertips, by having a method for getting a little bit done every day. This is what helps me reduce the overwhelm. I get overwhelmed when I don't know what to do next. I have a little bit of time on my hands and I'm so overwhelmed. There's so many things that I could be working on that sometimes I just stop and I don't make any progress at all. And that's the worst thing that I could do, right? I want to make a little bit of forward progress every single day. So it's that methodizing. It's finding a method that works for you, finding a time of the day that works for you. Now, are you one of those people that has to have all of the dishes out of the sink before you can sit down at your sewing machine? Do you have to have the laundry all up to date before you sit down at the sewing machine? Do you have to have breakfast in the morning, a shower, and your makeup on before you sit down and sew? You know what you need to do to clear your head so that you are ready to sit down and sew. I'm one of those people that cannot have things hanging over me. So my first hour or two in the morning is getting that kitchen cleaned up, getting everything organized so that I can feel good about coming down to my sewing machine. Now, my friend Joan does the complete opposite. The first thing she does in the morning is get in a half an hour of sewing before she does anything else. She might be down at 7:30 in the morning and sew from 7:30 to 8 or 7:30 to 8:30. And she gets so much accomplished because she doesn't let anything interrupt that quiet time that she has to herself. And what a better time than first thing in the morning, because she's fresh. She's excited about getting started for the day. And she knows that she's going to have that amount of time every day and she's going to be able to move her projects forward. So I give her credit. That's fabulous. but I'm not that kind of person. I really have to have all of my ducks in a row before I allow myself to sit down and sew. So maybe mid-afternoon is the time that you get to sit down and sew after all of your other responsibilities are done. Some people might sit down for the 5 o'clock news. Some people might sit down and read a book for an hour. Some people might have their favorite podcast or their favorite morning show that they watch. That is a great time to sit down and sew. Just over here, I have a television, and I could sit down and watch a television program that I love. And if I limit myself to only watching that television program while I'm sitting and sewing, then I will be anxious to sit and sew and watch my favorite TV show and get a whole lot done during that half an hour or 1 hour show. So you have to find a method. You have to find something that works for you to methodize this whole process. So first we're going to prioritize, and then we're going to organize, and then we're going to methodize. We're going to find a method to get things done. Now, finally, what's that going to do? You're going to realize your quilting dreams. You're going to realize those quilts that you have been planning, and now you are acting on them. Realizing them means you're doing it. You're getting it done. You're making it real. And that is my favorite part of the process, because you're going to have finished blocks and finished quilts if you stick to this system of thinking about your projects without getting overwhelmed. Now, what happens when we feel that overwhelm? We really just stop. We don't know where to go first. So I want you to think about prioritizing what projects you want to work on, organizing those projects so you can just grab a bin and get started, finding that method that works for you so you sit down for a little bit every single day, and that's going to help you realize those projects and get them finished. So that's my method for you, and I hope that those words will help you to put it all in perspective and not feel the overwhelm, because it's just pretty simple to put this system in place and feel really energized and good about getting your projects done. Hey, there's another word. There's another IZE word. I'm going to feel energized once I've taken all of these steps. Now, I've been working on this book right here. Many of you have seen it before. It's the Train Your Brain book by Dana Wilde. And I just wanted to introduce you to Dana. I know a lot of you have already gone to her website, and she has a little newsletter that she puts out. It's not even a newsletter. She puts out an email every single day. That's a little motivational email. Sometimes I read it, sometimes I don't, but it's always a very positive message. So I was talking to Dana the other day because I joined her Train Your Brain for Entrepreneurs, her Positive Mindset for Entrepreneurs Club. And, you know, it's not something you would probably be interested in because it is for entrepreneurs, but her newsletter is not really about business. It's really just about having a positive outlook on life and a positive mindset. And what she really believes is that what you think about is what happens in your life. If you're always thinking positive thoughts and you're always encouraged and excited about what you're doing, that's going to have positive results. So that's her basic message, is if you train your brain to be positive, you'll end up with a positive outcome. So I was talking to my brother about this concept. My brother is a high-powered business coach. He is amazing. He coaches billionaires. That's the type of client that he has. And I was telling my brother that one of Dana's favorite sayings is, "It's not the problem, that's the problem. The problem is we keep talking about the problem." So what does that mean exactly? Dana's saying is that what Dana is saying is that if you have a problem, like I'm overwhelmed by how many projects I have, that problem is not really the problem. The problem is that we keep talking about the problem. So when I keep saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. I can't even think of the first thing that I can do to make this quilt. I'm really stressed about this quilt. I don't have the fabrics even washed or pressed yet. I don't have them fused. How am I even going to get started when Sue's so far ahead of me? Oh my gosh, I have a huge problem. Boy, that doesn't feel good, does it? That certainly doesn't feel good. How about we stop talking about that problem of overwhelm and we just take the tiniest little step? So today I might say, all right, Sue said 23 minutes. Get out that timer. Let's put 23 minutes on my timer. I can't find my timer. Hold on. Here it is. All right. I got my little kitty timer here. Bev, I am thinking of you with my little kitty here. And I'm going to put my 23 minutes a day for 2023. I'm going to put my timer on for 23 minutes. What can I get done in 23 minutes that will move that project forward just a little inch? Well, I could wash my fabrics. You know what? I might be able to wash my fabrics in the sink and dry my fabrics too in 23 minutes. I could get my fabrics washed and dried in 23 minutes. Oh my gosh. Then I will feel so good that I've moved forward on this project. Now tomorrow comes up. Oh, wow. I've got another 23 minutes. I could probably fuse 3 or 4 of those fabrics in 23 minutes. But you know what happens? You get fusing, you lose track of time, you're watching your favorite television program, and suddenly you're making all this forward progress. Your timer goes off and you're not ready to stop yet. So you're going to work for an hour that day and you're going to get all of your fabrics fused. This is what happens, right? We start a little bit of momentum. And that momentum builds and it has that snowball effect. And we keep getting further and further into that project, more and more done. We get more and more excited about it. And now we're ready to jump on to that next step. Once your fabric is all fused, you are ready to start cutting for that project. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to cut for this project. I am so overwhelmed. There's so many different shapes. I don't know where to get started. Well, the problem isn't the problem. The problem is that we're getting overwhelmed by the problem. We keep talking about it, and that makes it feel so much worse than it is. So let's set our timer for 23 minutes, and we're going to pick one shape. We're going to cut all the leaves for this project because we know how to cut leaves. And if we don't, we can go to the website, click on the video for cutting leaves. We can watch that video. It's less than 23 minutes long. So you're going to make progress in that 23 minutes by learning the next step in the process. Okay, so this is your method. You're going to learn one step in the process. You're going to take one step that day. Maybe the next day you finish cutting your leaves. And the next day you can pick out a new shape to tackle. So by using this method of just taking baby steps, one little baby step at a time, we stop making that problem the focus of all of our energy. We use our energy for solving the problem. And it doesn't take much. You only need one little solution to start for that 23 minutes that day. You don't need to tackle the whole project. Maybe you just take your red fabric and you cut your leaves from your red fabric one day. The next day, maybe you take your green fabric. You're making small little steps. They're all going in the right direction. And that momentum builds and the excitement builds. And the next day you're ready to spend an hour and a half on that project because you're so excited about moving forward. So this is what training your brain is all about. Turning overwhelm into excitement and into forward progress that motivates you to keep going. So I love Dana's ideas on different ways to train your brain. Because when you think that you can do this, when you know you can do this, when you have full confidence you can do this, those are all steps in the process that get you to your goal. Now, at first, you might not have a lot of confidence, but if you say, I know that I can take time to wash these fabrics today, and then tomorrow, you know you can get those fused because you know those 2 steps. And the next day, you learn that next step and you take that next step, you're going to be really motivated to keep moving forward. And it only takes a few days to get into that habit where it starts that snowball effect of feeling really good about the progress that you've made. So it's not the problem that's the problem. The problem is we keep talking about the problem. And the more you talk about the problem, the more overwhelming it gets, and you can't see the solution. And the solution is right there in front of you. That first tiny little step. Taking a tiny little step every day. It's a little bit of forward progress. They all build one on the other. And before you know it, you get to your end result. So today we're talking about a little bit of brain training, and I have another book that I'm going to just recommend to you. Now, I'm going to recommend this book today, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. And there's 2 different ways you can go, right? You can look at the positive mindset book that's going to get you headed in the right direction. And this book is a totally different philosophy. I was just introduced to this book by my brother. My brother is a very, I mentioned before, he's a very high-powered business coach. He coaches billion-dollar businesses. And one of his philosophies is being driven by an inner purpose, having a greater purpose than just making a beautiful quilt. Maybe your purpose is to make something gorgeous for a family member. Maybe your purpose is to make more charity quilts. Maybe your purpose is to help develop your skills so that you can help your guild in their latest quilt show and have your work show at the latest quilt show and add to the beauty and the success of that show. Maybe your purpose is to make charity quilts for the pregnancy center, or, there's any number of ways in which you can find your purpose in adding beauty to this world. And it's adding serenity and calm to your day. So he's been really encouraging me to read this book, and it's a big one. It's a really important book in the world right now. This person is somebody that I really admire, and I'm going to share this with you, even though I don't usually share much about my beliefs, my religion. This book is focused on a Christian perspective. It's called Living Fearless, and the author is Jamie Winship. Okay. Jamie's goal in life is for us all to find our greater purpose, right? Not the, it's his goal is for us to find God's purpose for us in our life. So I really love this book. If you're not a Christian, or if you don't believe in God, I would still recommend it. Because even if you have a sense that the universe is sending you in a certain direction, if you have the belief that there is some higher power that is helping you go through life and make good decisions, then this is a book that you could relate to. So Living Fearless is written by a former Metro DC police officer. He also worked with the CIA in trying to rid the world of terrorism. And as a police officer, being guided to solve crimes and to solve murders and mysteries by asking the universe, and in our case, asking God for help with those things. So this is a book that I would really recommend if you have any interest in that type of thing. It is really a fabulous book, and he is quite an amazing person. I think you're going to really enjoy learning about his life and his life's work. Yeah, so I'm just going to recommend this now. We're not going to talk about this book yet, but if some of you end up reading it and you let me know that you've enjoyed it, we can certainly have a future Sewing in Slippers where we talk a little bit about how to use Jamie's methodology in order to find your purpose in life and to motivate you even further to get even more of your dreams realized. Now, whether those are dreams of quilting or better relationships with your family or anything that you are desiring in your life, if it goes, beyond our scope here, of course, I want to talk about my quilting goals, my business goals, and all of those things. But I just couldn't help sharing this book with you because this is more of your life goals. This is more of your life plan, and your hobby, your quilting, your passion is just one aspect of your life. So I strongly recommend this for anybody that's looking for direction in their life, not just in their quilting world. This book is probably going to be more of my focus for training my brain for positive thinking and for getting more motivation for getting my projects done. I think this book is going to be more of motivation for getting my life, living my life to its fullest and living my life with purpose. So I'm going to strongly recommend the Jamie Winship book. I also strongly recommend the Dana Wilde book. This one is very serious and pretty heavy, but really fabulous. And this one is light, it's fun, it's easy. So you might have heard me talking about light, fun, and easy in one of our recent workshops. I've been working with Dana for the past couple of weeks, and that mantra of fun, light, and easy, especially where it relates to our hobby, that is a really good one. Keeping your hobby fun, light, and easy is a great way to keep that positive mindset. I had a workshop recently, and I could see a whole lot of stress out in my audience. I do my workshops on Zoom, and I was seeing stress out in that audience of either not being able to keep up or not finding the right fabrics to use, not understanding a particular instruction and having to repeat it over and over again in order to get it. And what I kept mentioning was, let's keep this a little bit more fun. Let's not get bogged down in what you are frustrated with and what the problem is. Let's not talk about that problem. Let's go ahead and solve that problem. So by taking things step by step, by doing one step at a time, we try to eliminate that overwhelm and make your quilting fun a little bit more fun. By keeping it light, we can keep it a little bit more fun. So those are my thoughts today on brain training. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I have seen we've had a lot of challenges in our group recently. We've had a lot of illness. We've had some pet losses. We've had some real challenges. And what I hope to bring to all of you is a little bit of that fun, light, and easy. It's our quilting is a little bit of an escape for us, isn't it? And a way to surround ourselves with something beautiful, something that we're passionate about, a way we can get lost in our own enjoyment, and it helps to ease those problems that we have, whether it's health, whether it's aging parents, whether it's the loss of a pet. Our quilting community is often the place that we go to for a little relief from the challenges of everyday life. And I hope that I can be here for you to give you that relief from your everyday trials and tribulations of everyday life, and to bring a little bit more beauty and color and joy into your life. So let me go through those steps again. First, we're going to be prioritizing our life in the right order. Of course, our family and our health comes first, but I don't want you to put yourself at the bottom of that priority list. You are the most important person, and you need to take time to yourself so that you can feel good about what you're getting accomplished, so that you can feel good about yourself, and so that you don't resent all that you do is work and family and work and family and sleep and work and family and doctor's appointments. We need that little release and that little break of having time for ourselves. Oh, you're so happy to have joined that group, and you like the book, The Secret. That's a great one. Absolutely. You might try Joan's technique of sewing first thing in the morning before she gets bogged down with opening her email or looking at Facebook or anything else. Oh, Darlene, good morning. And Betty Gatesman, good morning. Hey, Helen. Kathy, excellent. So good to see all of you here. I hope that these little words of encouragement are helping you get in the right mindset to get just one step done in the right direction today. So what am I going to work on today? I've got this cornucopia block, and because it is our September block in the group, I need to get my instructions edited. So I'm going to be making this block today, and I'm going to be tackling this block so that I can polish up those instructions and get it out to my Ahead of the Curve members that are making the Baltimore blocks. Now, this Baltimore block is a bit busy compared with the more simple blocks. This is my plain version of the Baltimore album quilt, and then I have a fancy version of the Baltimore album quilt. Well, I'll let you know that this is definitely the fancy version of the cornucopia block. We're going to simplify this as well and do about half as many fruit and nut and berry elements so that you don't have to feel overwhelmed by a project like this. You can simplify if you don't have all that time to spend on these really intricate little details, or you can take the time to really elaborate on this design. You could even add more leaves, more berries, more fruit in there and make it even more fancy. But I'm really excited that I'm all organized. I'm all ready to go. I've prioritized this project as the one thing that I need to get done today. And I already have started to methodize this. So I prioritize this as the one project I need to do. I organize the project by printing out the instructions, getting all of my fabrics in a bin. Now I am going to start to methodize this. So I want to say, okay, I've got 3 oak leaves that I need to cut. So step 1, cut 3 oak leaves. I've got about 20 circles, 1-inch circles that I need to cut. So I know I can tackle that. Now, it might take me a couple of different periods of time during the day today, but I know that I'm going to be able to get all of those shapes planned and cut and some photographs taken so that I can add those to my instructions. So that's my priority. I've got it all organized. I've got the method to get it done. And I think that I'm going to be able to realize getting this project done today. So there you go. Those are the steps to reducing the overwhelm in your life, to taking that first step forward. And it's all those little baby steps that end up adding to getting these projects finished. All right, I do want to share with you this adorable little strawberry. Isn't that a sweet little thing? Now, over the weekend, I wrote up some instructions for cutting that little strawberry. So why don't we take a few minutes today and we can look at that red ripe strawberry, and you could incorporate that into a little children's quilt. It would be beautiful in a berry basket. It would be gorgeous if you added a few berries in with a floral design. So tackling that little berry, I think, will be a really, there goes my 23-minute timer. Tackling that berry, I think, would be a fun little thing to do that we can do together, so that you didn't just hear me lecture today about mindset. So let's go down on my overhead camera. I'm not sure it's 100% positioned just the right way, but let's go ahead and look at that camera and see if we can figure out, there we go, if we can figure out how to make this little strawberry together. Well, I said we need to organize first, and I had lots of thoughts about what we were going to do today. So I actually brought out my very first quilting project. So why not let me show you that? Look at those big old toe catcher stitches. Look at the pencil lines that I used to mark this feather design. This is terrible polyester and cotton fabric that I made all of my quilted designs, but I made 15 of them in all these bright, ugly colors. And I started putting them together with a black sashing. So I was laughing at this, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to show you this? But that's not what I've decided to work on today. So I'm going to put away all of my quilting samples that I was going to talk to you about, and let's look at the cornucopia project. So when I went into EQ, the cornucopia that I found was quite complex, and there were very, very few shapes that I could cut out with the tools. But I did see some of those circles, and I really loved the look of these chestnuts right here, and these cute little red strawberries, the pears, and all of the berries. But I decided that I needed to simplify this design. It had 2 birds on it. It had hundreds of berries, and it had all these strange little shapes that I just didn't feel good about because I can't cut those with my rotary cutter. So instead, I started redesigning our block, and I reused some of the shapes from this month's block. So this month we are doing an oak and reel block for August. So I'm reusing the oak leaves. I'm reusing the acorns. So we can even start to get some of this block cut out when we do our August block, which is the oak and reel. So let me grab that oak and reel block so you can see those design elements that will be similar. So I use the exact same oak leaf, and I use the exact same acorn with its little cap and its little stem, and I added those elements into this block as well. So when we're cutting out our oak leaves and our acorns, if we cut out a couple of extras, we're going to be already prepared for getting our cornucopia block done. But I just love this little strawberry. And when I drew out that strawberry, I came up with a slightly different design. I like all those little leaves on the top, and I thought that that would be really fun to create. So what I need is a piece of red fabric that's 3 inches by, let's see what that second measurement is. Let me grab my red fabric, and I'm going to grab my ruler and see exactly what that measurement is here. So you know that when I have a ruler that has the 1 inch marking over here, this is a 1/2 inch marking. I mark that corner with a little true grip on that 1 inch corner, so it's easier to find that whole measurement. So the measurement for this strawberry is 3 inches by 2.5 inches. I got my cornucopia fabric all ready to go, but here is my fabric for the strawberry. So I'm going to cut a 2.5 inch strip. I'm going to make multiple strawberries. And because I'm just playing, I've not made this strawberry before, it might not come out right the first time. So I'm going to have several attempts at this strawberry. So let me cut a few pieces that are 2.5 by 3 inches. So let me just clean up that end. I'm going to fold so I can do 2 at 3 inches. I can even get a third one out of there. Now I'm looking for just the right fabric for that red ripe strawberry. And if I get it right, I think this will be cute, but I really want some fabric with some little straight lines in it that looks like the strawberry seeds. So I don't have just the right fabric, but right now I'm just playing because I've never made this strawberry before. So once I have the drawing of my strawberry, I want to figure out how I'm going to make that. So let's check out our curves. This 2.5 inch curve is perfect for the bottom half of that strawberry. So I'm going to fold my fabric one way, and then I'm going to fold it in half the other way. And then I can mark the center lines on this fabric. So I'm going to go right on that fold line, or I can simply measure up by 1.5 inches on the 3 inch measurement. Okay, and 1.25 inches on this measurement. Remember, it was 2.5, so there's 1.25 inches. This way was 3 inches, so I marked it at 2.5. So now I'm going to fold this fabric, and from the halfway mark down, I'm going to use the 2.5 inch curve from the halfway mark down to the middle mark to make the side of that strawberry. So let's go ahead and cut that right there. Okay, now the top of the strawberry isn't really critical because I've got all these leaves on top. So I think I'm probably going to use the 2.5 inch curve again. That looks pretty good, although it's a little bit shy right there. So let's see what other curve we could use. I can use the 3 inch curve on Hearts and More template D to make a little bit tighter curve up here for the top of my strawberry. So from this point to the top, I'm using the 3 inch curve. So it's from this halfway mark to this halfway mark. This halfway mark here to the halfway mark in the middle. And I'm using that 3 inch curve. So that's how simple it is to make that basic strawberry shape with a little bit more point down here and a little bit more rounded up top. Now I'm going to find all of my green scraps of fabric. Whatever green fabrics I have all pressed and ready to go with my fusible. Now I want to make some little green leaves. Well, they can absolutely be the smallest leaf on the 2.5 inch tool. That's that inner line right there. That would make a great little strawberry leaf. Or we could use that 3 inch tool again, and we can make that leaf from about 30 to 30. So let's make some leaves from 30 to 30 on that Hearts and More template using the 3-inch end. We're going to go from 30 to 30 on the fold, and that's just a little skinny leaf. So I'm only going to fold a tiny little edge of that fabric in and go from 30 to 30. Now let's see if that's deep enough. Let's give that a shot. Oh, I went a little bit outside the line here. I don't love this board. It grips my blade a little bit too much, and I have a hard time following the edge of the tool. So this board is one I bought on Amazon. It's not made for quilting, and it's not the best. But look at that. That's a perfect little strawberry leaf. So let's do it again. Let's make it from this other color. And what happens is if I fold my entire edge in, I'm going to fold this edge of the fabric in. Now I had already cut some leaves from this fabric, so it has all of these little points right here. So I can cut each one of those leaves right into that little point, and then that's going to be a great use of my fabric. So from 30 to 30, I'm going to cut in the first little point. Then I'm going to fold this point in and do from 30 to 30 on this point. So I'm just utilizing this leftover piece of fabric I had from cutting other leaves, and I'm utilizing those points because I know I can squeeze a leaf right into each one of those points. Now, they don't all have to be identical. This is a little strawberry. It doesn't need to be die cut. It doesn't need to be perfect. We're just going to cut a whole bunch of those little leaves from 30 to 30. Now, I could use all one leaf color and make my little leaves on the top of my strawberry, or I could use 2 or more colors for all those little leaves. So let's see, I've got 4 little leaves up there. Sometimes I like to use 5 because I think 4 is not the greatest number. Let's do 1 more of those little green leaves without changing color. And I think that strawberry is going to be just adorable. Now, there we go. Okay, now some of these can go off the edge of the strawberry. We're going to just pull this down here and look at that. So sweet. So I think of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And the Very Hungry Caterpillar loves to eat through one bright red strawberry. I'm going to put a little stem on that strawberry. So just a little curved piece of fabric that was already cut. We can add that little stem, and then our very hungry caterpillar can eat through his first red ripe strawberry. Now, it's so simple to make these shapes, and that's the first one I've ever made. I don't even mind that little fabric with the little berries on it because it looks like the texture and the seeds on my strawberries. So I think I'm going to keep that one. I really like it, and I think it's going to go right here in my cornucopia block. So I have 1, 2, 3 strawberries to make, and then I'll get started on all of these other design elements. So there you go. I've just made huge progress on my cornucopia block. And I didn't even know I was going to do that today. I just said, you know what? We've got 15 minutes left to our sewing in slippers. Let's get something accomplished. And now I am so motivated to move forward and get all of the other design elements done for the cornucopia block. So I am so glad that you joined me today for Sewing in Slippers with Sue. Before you go, we are having a special this week. Let me tell you what happened. Joanne, our shipping clerk, she went on vacation this week. She was going to take this week and half of next week off for vacation. So in order to get all of your orders out, my son Timmy and I are going to be going and shipping orders. Then Joanne's dad had a little accident. In fact, a big accident. He has to go in for surgery today on his hip. So Joanne has decided she's going to work this week. But I had already created a coupon for $10 off your order. Order of $50 or more, you're going to get $10 off with the coupon code Oh Brother. Oh Brother, just O and then the word brother, all together, all one word. With the coupon code Oh Brother, you're going to get $10 off an order of $50 or more. That was my little way of saying, be patient with me. I'm going to train Timmy, my son, to do shipping, and we're probably going to be a day or two late with getting your items out. So just to defray the cost of that priority shipping, we're giving you $10 off your order. So please be patient with us. I don't know if Joanne's going to be in today shipping orders or she's going to be spending time with her father. I'm not going to get into the shipping office until Wednesday, so we might be a day or two delayed on any orders that go out this week. So in order to make up for that, we have the coupon code Oh Brother, all one word, no apostrophe, no punctuation, just the letter O and the word brother. That's going to get you $10 off your order from SuePellinDesigns.com. All right. If you have some tools that you need to get going on your applique quilts, this is the perfect time to defray the cost of that shipping and get $10 off your order at SuePellinDesigns.com. All right. Well, thank you. My thoughts and prayers are with Joanne as well. And her dad, he's in his 70s. He has a long recovery ahead of him. He fell down the stairs and broke his hip, broke his shoulder, and broke his wrist. So we're really concerned about Skip. We are so hoping and praying that he recovers soon. He's going to have to go through quite some therapy. It's going to be a long haul. So I'm thinking of Joanne and I'm thinking of her family right now. And I will do whatever I can to help Joanne get your orders out this week while she's tending to her family, putting her family as her first priority. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. And here at Sue Pellin Designs, I encourage all of my employees, all of the friends that I work with, to put their family first. And shipping will come later. So Timmy and I will get your orders out tomorrow and then again on Friday. So I don't think there'll be much of a delay, but go ahead and use that Oh Brother coupon to defray the cost of your shipping so that you'll have a little bit of patience with me as I get those orders out maybe a day or two late. Okay, excellent. Yes, I could use black seed beads to make the seeds on the strawberry. Absolutely. And yeah, that quilting design is pretty cute, isn't it? I did those. Those blocks were the very first quilt that I worked on. Obviously, I didn't finish it because I didn't love those colors going together, but that was my very first quilting project. And I probably never will finish it, but I just thought it would be fun to show you my very first quilting project. Another day, I'll show you one that I actually finished, my first real quilt. Okay, yes, sending healing thoughts. Thank you so much. Debbie West, thank you. Your advice is very valuable in the rehab area, and I really appreciate that. I'll let her know that if she needs anybody, she can reach out to you. So sweet, Debbie. Thank you. All right, everyone. I hope that you are going to prioritize. You are going to organize. You are going to find a method, or you're going to methodize, and you're going to realize your beautiful finished blocks. It's been my pleasure to sit here with you at Sewing in Slippers with Sue. I do have my slippers on, and it's been really fun to spend time with you this morning. I am looking forward to getting caught up on my projects and reducing that overwhelm that I sometimes feel when I get a little bit behind. I hope that you now have my encouragement and my strategy to work with. Get a little bit done today, and you are going to keep that positive momentum going forward. So for Sewing in Slippers with Sue, I'm Sue Pelland. It's been my pleasure to work with all of you today. Have a great day, and don't forget to train your brain.